Hello and welcome to ESL Revolution, everyone. I'm your content creator and professor, Dr. B. Welcome back to the channel and Happy New Year. That's right, Happy New Year to all. I hope you are doing very, very well. Hope you had a great New Year's. I'm sure you did. So, very good to you. We are back, ladies and gentlemen, to do our second class overview. This time we are doing Operative Medicine line. This is the mirror line to the Scoundrel that I did already. It is posted into the YouTube channel, so you can check that out. I will post a link to that overview and to that three-part series here in this iteration. So yeah, let's get right into it. This one, we're going to be dividing the series into three parts, okay, and this one, this part one, is simply going to be a quick overview, probably 10 to 15 minutes or so, an overview of the healing line itself and the pros and cons and what you need to consider when you are doing operative medicine. Now, as I'd said in my other video, there is a reason why I'm doing this video. It's been a long time in the making, but to be quite honest, there is not a lot of video material specific to the medicine line in terms of what you can do to get yourself prepared for level 75. And so that's really what this video is all about. It puts the information from the guides out to you to consume it in a different way. Now, I just mentioned the guides, and there are two individuals who have excellent guides out there. Volk is one of them, so thank you for all of your work as well. But this particular medicine operative class video guide that I'm putting together, I have the permission actually to use Merlin's SWTOR guides. He and I had a brief email encounter a few months ago, and I did ask him permission to use his internet guide to actually build the foundation of this video for you. So that's what I'm doing today. So a big shout out to Merlin's SWTOR guides. Thank you so much for all the work that you do as well. And I hope that these videos do honor and justice to what you have done and the efforts that you have done as well. So thank you so much for that. Let's dive in right away. First of all, let's talk about the operative and specifically the medicine line. Okay, medicine is a particularly powerful healing class, but it does take a fair amount of skill to do. Compared to the other two healer classes, you have the mercenary and what's the other one? The mercenary and the sorcerer. There we go. The mercenary and the sorcerer. So what is different about these three classes? Well, mercenary and sorcerer are reactive healers in that if your tank takes damage, I'm going to then, once I see that damage, I'm going to provide some healing to recover that damage. The operative, on the other hand, is I'm going to anticipate where the damage is coming from and who it's going to, and I'm going to put my heal over time, or my HOTS, or my AoEs into the group to prepare for that damage so that it can mitigate once it gets there. Okay, that is the big fundamental difference between the medicine line on the one side, and the merc and the sorcerer on the other. Okay, so they're not the same type of healers. Now, generally speaking, what you really need to do is to be able to balance your HPS, healing per second, versus your EHPS, which is your effective healing per second. Now, what's the difference here? Well, you could have 20,000 HPS, but if you're not healing where it needs to be, that's EHPS, then you are perhaps not doing as good a job. When you are doing HOTS, when you're doing heal over time, it is where you are putting your healing that is more important than the raw numbers. If you're putting out 10, let's say between 10 and 15,000 EHPS, as opposed to somebody who's doing 25,000 HPS, you're probably going to be more effective in your healing because you've got healing running on people that don't need to be healed. So there's no reason for you to put healing on that person if they are not taking damage. Okay, so that is one of those things that is particularly important to take care of and to be aware of when you're doing this particular style of character. Okay, now, utility and mobility. Okay, now there are some pretty decent mobility skills that you have as an operative, and we're going to move around a little bit in the ship here. So here is one here. We have our exfiltrate. Okay, now that pumps us, that gives us, if we hit it twice, that gives us 24 meters movement. We can do one at a time, we can do both. And what that allows us to do essentially is to just sidestep some stupid that we might be standing in. Okay, let's say there's a dot on the floor, a red circle, and instead of just walking out of the circle, we can just boop, do a quick jolt out, and we can get out of that and yet still maintain our situational awareness. Okay, so that's one thing that we can do there. The other thing that we can do is, let's see if I can just line this up, is we can use our hollow traverse, and we can just slide right to another character. Now this can be a person that we are playing in our group, or this can be an enemy NPC. Okay, so it could be both in that sense, but those are effective ways of moving around. Now, I will say this, that the hollow traverse has always been a little bit buggy. All right, hasn't always worked particularly well. It is better now, but don't be surprised if you've hit the hollow traverse and you only get halfway to where you're going to go, or you're not quite behind the person as you had expected. Okay, so be aware of that skill can be a little jittery, and you want to be aware of that. Now, the Sork and the Mercenary, they also do these, have these skills. We've got the Force Speed, and we've got Hydraulic Overdrive for Sork and Mercenary respectively. And these typically are a little easier to use because the classes generally are easier to heal with. So yeah, keep that in mind as well. Keep that in mind. Now, the one thing that the operative medicine line really excels at is group healing as AoE. We are very good at that. Part of the reason from an ability perspective is that we can do three things that are instant and movement. So we have this skill right here, Culto Probe. So you can see here that I am able to hit this on the move, okay? The other one that is particularly good on the move is Surgical Probe, okay? So I can use that skill on the move. I can run around, I can place it on somebody else or myself. And we also have Recuperative Nanotech, which also can be done as a movement. And this one here particularly is, as you can see, 3 allies within 10 meters. So this one here is a little bit of an AoE. Surgical Probe consumes my Tactical Advantage, and that is a single target. And then my Culto Probe, that is also a single target. But I can use those moving around. Now, the thing is, though, that we cannot burst heal, single target burst heal, while we are moving. We must stay stationary. And so that can lead to a little bit of a disadvantage in that we cannot move around. So we have some mobility as we're healing, but not all of our skills can be used healing. If that was the case, we would just be way OP, to be quite honest. Now, another thing that we bring, there are 2 other things as way of kind of an overview of the class that we bring to our groups, whether we're doing story mode or hard mode, whether even when we were in flashpoints just running with our guildies. There's a couple things that we also do. First of all is this: we bring Tactical Superiority, which for our group members, we increase critical chance by 10% for 10 seconds. Now that's good for healing and that's good for DPS. So it does everybody at the same time. And that's a nice skill. That is a 5-minute cooldown. But no, it doesn't reset. So that one there, yeah, nice one to have for sure. But I think the greatest utility that we have is our in-combat res. In-combat res. And that is the Resuscitation Probe right here. Now, summons a droid that revives an incapacitated ally. This ability is usable while in combat. Okay, so now, let's say I'm healing and there's no other operative. In the group. What I can do is I can use my cloaking screen, and that breaks me out of whatever combat I'm in. I'm in stealth. Then I go over to the character, the player that is down. I click on that, click on Resuscitation Probe, and I can bring them back into the game. So that is, we are the only class that has that ability, and it is fantastic. Okay, moving right along here. We definitely excel at group healing. Okay, when we're all, let's say we're all balled up right here, and you know, I can drop this, and I can drop this, and I can do this. Right, so these skills here allow me to do some. I can, you know, throw some damage out there as well in a group just to increase it. You don't have to, but it is an option if you want. So these 2 skills here are particularly good for your group healing. Let me just see what else have I got here. Yeah, so those 2 are very good. Now, what really helps to determine a good operative healer is the ability to maintain strong healing as a group. So if you got people balled up and you're able to throw out those heals particularly well, which is great, and then also at the same time be aware that we might need to pop over to our tank and throw a couple of single target heals. So we need to be able to balance where those things are, and that will, I think, make or break a good a good operative healer. In terms of the last basic thing here that I want to talk about just by way of overview is our ability to have some defensive capabilities. All right, we have 2 defensive capabilities that are really quite valuable. First, we have the shield probe here. We hit that. It's a 25-second cooldown, and it's up for 10 seconds. And this mitigates, on this character, it mitigates 23,000 damage over the course of 10 seconds. But as you can see, it also gives me a little bit of a heal on myself as it finishes. So that is a nice thing to have for sure. That's going to be in the passives, and I'm going to talk about that later. The next one is the evasion. This one here is 3 seconds. All right, it's very quick. It's on a 1-minute cooldown. It doesn't break stealth. However, any melee or ranged attack is dodged by 200% for 3 seconds. So if we need to kind of get out of the way and we're getting tunneled or we're getting hit hard, we can hit that and it will negate our damage. So that is definitely a nice thing to have. We also have this one here, countermeasures. This is specifically for reducing our threat by a moderate amount. So if we do find that we're starting to take a couple of aggro hits here and there, hit that countermeasure, and we will be able to, we will be able to reduce our healing aggro, and therefore hopefully the tank or maybe even another DPS can pick up that. Okay, so those are a couple of skills. We don't have the same level of survivability perhaps as the Sorcerer God Bubble or even the Mercenary Reflect. Okay, but over the course of time, when we're using this shield probe, we certainly can mitigate a fair amount of damage over the long term. So think of it as damage hot. Kind of think about it in that regard, and you'll be able to understand that you should be using this as frequently as possible to reduce that damage. It definitely does help. Okay, so that is a little bit of an overview there of the operative class. Now, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be jumping in next to talk about stats, skills, and passives, and then we're going to be looking at gearing as well, and rotation and energy management in the 3rd video. So thanks very much for joining along. I do wish you all very well. Don't forget, subscribe, hit the notification button. These videos are coming out regularly, so stay tuned, everybody. And remember, as always, may the Force be with you.